All right. So, hi everyone. My name is Karishma. I am a freshman at NYU Tisch School of the Arts, studying drama with a double major in history from the College of Arts and Science here at NYU. And I'm so excited to speak to all of you today. Uh, Pity I can't see you, but we'll work on that and we'll be able to see you. So, I'm just going to speak to you briefly about my project and then answer any questions that you may have, and then we can speak about how you can get involved. Cool? Okay, cool. So at least until I can see you, it would be really great when you ask your questions to mention your name so that I know who I'm speaking to, and so it just makes it a little bit more personal because I'd love to get to know you all. Okay, so my project is entitled Matone de Chiwit, which means drops of life in three different languages. Drops means, well, Matone means drops in Kiswahili, which represents Kenya and the continent of Africa. De means off in Spanish, which means off, which represents Latin America. And then Chiwit means life in Thai, which represents the continent of Asia. So these are the three continents in the world that suffer most from water scarcity. And my project looks at assisting these continents first and then moving out into more disaster relief and other different ventures. So essentially, the project is a water purification unit that's created from traditional elements made of gravel, sand, charcoal, the simple stuff, which is grade 2 to grade 8 science. And it purifies different elements of water, like different types of water, borehole water, river water, and it was tested successful by the Coast Water Services Board, which is the testing board in Mombasa, which is where I come from and where this project developed. I started developing it from grade 9, which is freshman year of high school. And it's taken me a couple of years, as you can see, and I'm still continuing with it. And the process is currently, we're at the phase of looking for fundraising and donations to be able to start expanding into a global venture. So that's the basics. I'd leave the rest to ask, well, in the past webinars, if you may have noticed, or if you've watched any of them, you'll see that a lot of the questions do end up answering most about the phase of the project and everything. So I'll leave the floor open for you guys to speak to me and answer any questions. And then we could just have a conversation. Sound good? Great.
Questions? Come on, guys, you can have lots of questions all the time. Yes, Rhiannon.
All right, I'm Rhiannon, and I was wondering what made you decide you wanted to do this?
What made me decide that I want to do this? Good question. So that really is about the inspiration of my project. I'm just making sure that you can hear me clearly.
Yes, very clearly.
Okay, perfect. I just wanted to make sure that there's no feedback and there's no background noise. Is there any background noise?
No.
Okay, perfect. So my inspiration really was the fluctuating weather condition back home in Kenya. I come from Mombasa, which is an island, and it's a city in Kenya, very small, very intimate. Everyone knows everybody, literally. And there was a fluctuating weather problems in the country at the time. So half the country was drought stricken, and the other half was, there was a lot of flooding going on. And because of that, there was the spread of a lot of waterborne diseases, including tuberculosis, cholera, and diarrhea. And that really affected our economy because you'd find that the working population wasn't as strong as they possibly could be. And that's what inspired me to create a unit that could work in a local setting where people don't have access to electricity, don't earn that much money, but still can have access to clean drinking water in a safe way.
Well, a product like yours be available for our schools to use?
Sorry?
A product like you created, will that be able to be used at like public schools like ours?
Yes. So I've actually been in conversation with the county government in Mombasa, speaking about how we could expand into local schools, because that really is an example of a community that we could venture out into instead of looking at families. We are looking at families, and I forgot to mention that we have established a test community. So as part of my project, I received donations from Davis and Shirtlift to create 20 units that were then distributed and donated to a host community. About $20 is how much it takes to create this unit, and I donated about 20 of them to the community. And right now I'm in conversation with the government of the county government to go out into the school community, because that's really where students are able to learn through the prototype, to be able to understand how the unit can be created using other elements, and also how they can have access to clean drinking water. Yeah.
Oh, by the way, my name is Kimmy.
Nice to meet you.
Other questions? Does it filter out things like heavy metals, lead, for example?
What was the example? Sorry, heavy metals such as?
Lead. That's been in our area in the news quite a bit. Lead in the drinking water.
Yes. Okay. So that's another very good question. So, as part of the development of this project, there is a lot of research that needs to be carried out to continue bettering the product and to be able to purify different sources of water, especially because our mission is global, and it's something that we hope to expand around the world eventually. So currently, the unit only purifies borehole water and river water, and things such as salt, and lead and other metals are subject to research, because what we intend to do is create a unit that um, is safe, purifies different elements of water, and purifies water from these heavy metals and other things, but also is cheap and effective to use. So, as part of my literature research, what I found is that desalination and all these other elements that could be removed from the water are very expensive to get out. And so, that's not something that I included in my primary design, but that is subject to research. And right now, the team that I've created is something that we're working towards trying to think about. I hope that answers your question. It's very good questions, you guys.
Kimmy, go ahead.
Sorry. Will it, an invention like yours be able to help issues in the United States, like what's happening in Flint, Michigan right now?
That's what I was asking about the lead.
Oh,
Flint, Michigan.
Never mind then.
Sorry, Kimmy.
That's a good question, and that's something that again, as I said, it's subject to research. There is the unit actually focuses more on providing access to clean drinking water, and so having a source of water is something that would then be incorporated later on in the project. But yes, that is a very important thing, because you can't have access to clean drinking water if you don't have access to water in the first place. So again, at this point where we are, or where in terms of the creation, I really did focus on the creation from the beginning of this project. And so we're very nascent, as you know, and we're looking at expanding. And so that's something that we want to expand into, and want to expand into the developed world. But the main aim right now is for us to focus on the developing world, where there is drinking water, but it's not necessarily clean. Our mission eventually is to help with disaster relief and other forms of aid in the developed world, where there is access to clean drinking water, but not necessarily all the time.
So eventually we'll be able to have like bodies of water to be purified, right?
Yes, right. So when it comes to expanding, and when it comes to thinking about a global expansion where we'd like to donate these units, we would have to carry out research as to how we could bring in access to water in the first place to communities that don't have access. And so that part would come when we are ready to launch. Currently, we are thinking about fundraising methods and other forms of getting, monies to be able to expand to a global level. But the minute we're ready to expand to a global level, the first thing that we would think about would be providing access to water, and then think about how these units can be implemented to make the drinking water clean.
Okay.
So I'll give you an example of the test community that we established our first run in Mombasa. We were actually partnered with the Rotary organization, the Rotary International Club. What they did is they actually had a borehole installed at the community that we donated the purifiers to. So the borehole was installed and the water was accessible now in the village. And then the purifiers came in and were able to clean that water that they had access to. So we'd look at partnering and pairing projects like that would kill two birds with one stone, essentially.
Other questions? Okay, I have a question about the containers.
Yes, sure, go ahead.
Okay, so what are the specifications? Because I found your Prezi, online that had all the
Oh,
measurements of the gravel and the sand and the charcoal, but I wasn't clear on the specifications of the plastic containers
so
and the receptacles.
that's actually a good question, and I think the project itself, the unit itself, you may have seen a couple of photos on the Prezi online as well. It really is a prototype. So it's created out of containers and that students use to take lunch in school. So it's a very small unit. It's like less than a meter in height and less than a foot in width.
Okay.
And so it's a very small unit, but it's something that can be recreated in different models. And currently, our research and development team is looking at other elements that could be used to create that model or to create that skeleton of the purification unit, and also how we could create a bigger unit potentially to to help larger communities, or create a smaller unit for people to carry on a daily basis.
Have you looked at using recycling food containers, plastic food?
Yes, yes. So essentially, the prototype is an example of how the unit should look. So I'll give you an example of one of the containers that's very prominently found in Mombasa is that the oil containers, because the oil jerry cans are used by all the families because they use oil in their cooking, and then those oil containers are thrown away. So if those oil containers can be dissected in a particular way and holes can be created according to the prototype, then they could be piled on top of each other to create the unit. So it can be easily adapted, and it is very, the design can change.
How large are the holes in each level of the container?
The holes really depend. It really does depend on what containers that you're using, the material of the plastic, or whatever other forms you're using. So I think I should take this point to branch off to talk a little bit about the journey that I've had and the process that I went through to be able to create this unit. There was a lot of theoretical research that was involved, and that's when I realized that theory is not necessarily the same as practice, because in theory, I was supposed to have created the unit out of steel, galvanized or stainless steel. But what ended up happening is when I tried the test purifier with the water actually corroded the steel because it was too saline. And so, oh, well, not saline, but it was too turbid. And so I had to continuously change the design a couple of times before it actually was successful. Uh, that's where I realized that there's a big difference between theory and practicality. And the practical element is what really helped me push my project forward to say, okay, this is what the design is. But that doesn't go to say that that design will stay permanent for the next couple of years. It is ever evolving, it will always change, and it really is easily adaptable to the communities that we would be targeting.
Excellent.
I hope that answers your question.
It does, actually. My brain is kind of turning. Does anybody else have any other questions?
So based on what you just said, you have considered other options besides plastic, considering plastic's not necessarily eco-friendly?
Yeah, yes. So we've considered stainless steel and galvanized steel, and potentially if the water is not as turbid as it was in Mombasa, then that might be an option. But really, again, as I said, it does depend on the community that we're targeting.
Right, okay. That makes sense.
Okay, other questions? So we are sort of kind of combining this. We just, within the last couple of weeks, started a tower garden project, aeroponics, which is about water conservation and the ability to grow food with a tremendously lower amount of water required. So water scarcity has kind of been something that's been on our radar for at least the last few weeks. So when Fran put your webinar invitation out to me, I was very excited. So we really appreciate you taking the time to talk to us.
Not a problem at all.
We just got the material. I ordered the materials with the exception of the containers. So I'm hoping that we can at least do a little trial and error and try and put together a couple of these. And we'll certainly let you know how they turn out and see what we come up with.
That's great. One thing that I would encourage you to do, especially when it comes to the creation of the units, is that it is something that I created that was very specific to the community. So there's no guarantee that that's something that will turn out as successful in your community. in terms of involvement, if you'd like to continuously be involved and get updates with this project and be able to do some further research and be part of this initiative that's our organization, then we're actually hosting this our awareness week as part of the Earth Day initiative in April, where students create flyers, posters, and other sorts of marketing materials, including videos and websites about water scarcity and raising awareness about this project that you guys could definitely be involved in. Because I think the first step to do anything when it comes to learning about water scarcity or any other issues like this that are affecting our world is to make as many people as we can aware of it. And so that's why I think if we could work together perhaps and work on a project that students could start raising awareness with, that would be wonderful. And then we could potentially meet up or go into some sort of a community-based workshop where I could lead the students into explaining how the unit is created or what can be done.
That would be fantastic. Now, here's my next question. You talked a little bit about where the name Matone de Chiwit came from, and the day coming from Spanish because Latin America is one of the global areas where water scarcity is and has been an issue. And we are in the process of watching También la Lluvia about the water wars in Bolivia. And as a Spanish teacher in Spanish classes, that's a region that we do discuss. Is that an area that you are looking to expand your project into, or is that something you've looked at all?
That's actually, thank you so much for raising awareness and attention to that. That's definitely something that we would look at the phase that we are at currently. It's really more about the fundraising to get some sort of money to be able to start distributing these units. But when we do go on a global level, after distributing a couple of units in Kenya, our intention is to go to India and potentially even Bolivia and keep going around to the countries that really do need it. And that is essentially every country, but we got to start from somewhere.
Questions?
Yeah. So in terms of involvement, students, I really wish I could see how all of you are feeling right now. But if you'd like to get in touch and if you'd like to be involved as part of raising awareness for this project, you'd actually be part of a global mission because we do have a couple of other high schools and a couple of other schools that are doing these awareness projects around the world. It is solely just about marketing and perhaps even fundraising if you'd be interested about the project. So if you're interested with that and you'd like to email me, you can just get my email from Tracy. She has it, and we could get in touch. And the intention would then be to have. So our artistic director in our team has a logo prepared for us. So all the high schools all the schools that are part of this awareness initiative will be given the logo, and almost everything or any unit that you create, if you were to create some for the tower that you have, or any marketing materials that you create would have that logo on them. So you're automatically part of a global mission.
So what kind of videos would you be looking for? Like, I can work with Madam Brady and my marketing teacher to make a really cool video. I'm good at that.
In fact, it's actually great that you already have the gardening project on started off, because students could create a video about what they've been doing there and say that this is part of this initiative, and make it if they're willing to, that is, and make it a global mission, and explain what you did through the gardening project, through the tower gardens, so that other schools may be able to model their curriculum or model their same thing around what you've done.
Okay.
Yeah.
1 second. Anybody else have any other thoughts, questions? Yes.
What was your favorite part about planning?
What is my favorite part?
Yeah.
It definitely was going out into the community and seeing the smile on that little child's face when I gave her mom that purification unit, because she was over the world. In Kiswahili, she said the family said that the water was tamu sana, which means very sweet. So it was great. That was the best part. Just that smile made my entire that process that I went through, the failures and the point. There was a point I wanted to give up, but when I saw their reaction, I was just very, very happy, for lack of a better term.
Anybody else? All right. Thank you so much
Not a problem at all. It was great to speak to all of you. I hope that we could work together soon, and I will be in touch soon with a little bit more of the details of how you could be part of the global mission and how you could create the videos or any other things that you're doing for water conservation.
That's fantastic. Thank you so much, Karishma.
Not a problem. Thank you. Have a great day. Bye bye. Nice to meet you all.
Bye.
Bye, bro.